Welcome back to the Big Ranch Show, the real home of progressives. Now, a quick update and then we'll get to the main story. I don't know if you've heard the story of Kate Cox out of Texas. She's a woman who is pregnant and recently found out that her child has a deformity, a birth defect, whatever you want to call it, that typically leads to a child or to the fetus dying before birth. And if it does survive through the birthing process, it typically dies an agonizing, painful death in the minutes after birth. Not only would this child have suffered immensely in the womb and outside of the womb, it could have killed the woman to have the birth, and it could also have made her infertile for the rest of her life. This is a woman with two other kids, a woman who wants a big family, right? This isn't a case of a woman who wants to use birth control or use abortion as birth control, as some conservatives claim. This is about a woman who wants to have a huge family. That was like one of her goals in life. So this third child was very much wanted by her and her husband. Last week, a state appeals court ruled that she could have the abortion because of the state ban on abortion after 6 weeks. Um, the courts got involved, and she took it to the courts, and the court said she could have the abortion. Not even an hour later, Ken Paxton releases a memorandum discussing how he has ordered the court, the Supreme Court, which is Republican run, to look into it, and they immediately stayed the lower court decision, stating that she could not have the abortion. Now, if you remember, when Texas passed this law, and a lot of the other states are like, oh, if the woman's life is at risk or something, yeah, we'll definitely let her have the abortion. Well, look at this case, right? Not happening, is it? So the Texas Supreme Court ruled that she could not have the abortion. But recent news, apparently breaking news, just about an hour ago, it was reported that Kate Cox has headed out of the state of Texas and will seek to have an abortion somewhere else, possibly even in Canada. And it's great that she was able to get that done for herself, that she had the money to do that she had the money to go to court and fight. But what about the rest of women in Texas that are in the same situation that Kate was in? What about them? The state's going to keep demanding that they have children, even though it's going to kill them. I don't agree with that. Women are not just baby incubators. That's not all women are. In the case of Kate, like I said, she was a woman wanting a big family and was having to make the agonizing decision to terminate a pregnancy to save her life and to prevent the fetus from having to go through agonizing pain through the birthing process. A woman should not have to fight like this to get reproductive health help. Now on to the other news that I had for you today. Breaking news out of the Supreme Court of the U.S. SCOTUS has ruled today in a 6-3 ruling that a Washington state ban on conversion therapy can stand. So for now, it is the law of Washington state that you cannot do conversion therapy. Now, there are some caveats to that, right? The only people that are banned from doing this in Washington State are professionals, people with, psychotherapists and psychologists and stuff, people that have state licenses to practice psychology and stuff like that. Those people are not allowed to do this. So a Christian minister who's also happens to be a counselor who has a state license tried to bring it through the appeals court, and it went to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court said they were not going to hear the case. His argument was that it affects his First Amendment rights, and that he should be able to do these conversions. Now, the thing is, if you're not a professional, license holder in the state, there are clergy people that can do it still, which I think is disgusting that it's even allowed. Because the case itself, the law doesn't ban it for people over the age of 18. It bans it for people under the age of 18. And people are going to be like, well, what about, gender affirming care, for trans youth? Why do they allow that to happen, but they're banning this? Well, let's dig into the numbers a little bit. Conversion therapy has been proven to not work. It's been debunked over and over again. Countless studies show that people who undergo conversion therapy end up having a higher risk of suicide than they already had before. Trans youth that undergo gender affirming care, such as counseling, puberty blockers, maybe even, and maybe at a later point, cross-sex hormones, have a lower risk of committing suicide. Lower risk of anxiety, lower risk of depression. Those are the differences, right? And some of you out there may be wondering, what is this idiot talking about? What is conversion therapy and what's so bad about it? Well, conversion therapy sets out to take LGBTQ people and make them straight through all sorts of weird religious, a lot of times ritual crap that you see, things that are basically try to force them to be straight. And think about the things that LGBTQ youth are already dealing with. Bullying from peers. Abandonment by some family members. If not all family members in some cases. And then you want to add on the fact that you're trying to force them to be something they're not? How is a parent okay with that? How could a parent ever be okay with doing that to a child? I'll never understand it. But I've heard some horror stories from people that have been through conversion therapy. I've even read reports at some of the supposed Christian conversion therapy camps that have existed throughout this country, that sexual assault is common. How is that okay? Now, 3 of the conservative justices, Clarence Thomas, Samuel Alito, and Brett Kavanaugh, all 3 voted in favor of hearing the case. Because as Clarence Thomas was saying, he feels it's a First Amendment thing, and he wants to overturn it. It's very simple. That's what the conservatives want to do. They want to make life absolutely miserable for people in the LGBTQ community. Luckily, 3 of the conservatives joined with the 3 liberals on the court and said they weren't going to hear it, and they allowed it to stand. If you're watching this channel back in 2016, you may remember how many times I said that elections have consequences and that you need to vote. We're coming up on a situation like this again, where you have liberals saying they're not going to vote. You got people like Michael Rappaport who've been dogging Donald Trump for going on 8 years now, saying they're going to vote for Donald Trump. Without thinking about what it's going to do. Elections have consequences, people. And the fact that we got lucky here, that 3 conservative justices decided to break with the other 3 conservative justices, that Amy Coney Barrett broke with the other 3 justices, is absolutely a gift that will not happen again. Just think what happens if Donald Trump wins that election in 2024. And then another liberal justice dies or retires. Think how many more potential Supreme Court justices Donald Trump could put on that bench that are absolutely radical. Our only hope is that something comes up and Joe Biden is president, or that nobody retires on the liberal side. Because right now the liberals have no control of that court. But there are many states across this country that have already banned it. Washington State, District of Columbia, right here in Norman, Oklahoma, they have a ban on conversion therapy for professionals. And I don't understand why you would want to do something that increases risks of suicide amongst LGBT people. Unless you're just a hateful person that hates us, that wants us to die. Now, the people that watch my show, I'm pretty sure most of them aren't of that persuasion. I'm pretty sure most people that watch my show are compassionate, good-hearted people that would never want a child hurt. And I'm glad to know that. Unfortunately, there are so many people out there who don't want to hear it. They don't want to hear anything about humanity or being kind. Right? And that's sad. It's an extremely sad state of affairs. But this time we win. So for the state of Washington, congratulations on the Supreme Court allowing your law to stay. Congratulations to the LGBTQ people of Washington State. And anybody that would want to send their child to something like this. Shame on you. Quick little channel update. I am doing the Christmas gift video. I will be doing that I'll be recording it on Wednesday. It'll probably, I'm guessing, go up on Thursday or Friday, possibly, depending on how much work it takes to get done. But I'm going to record that on Wednesday. But it'll be put up over on the Storytime with Julie channel. It used to be the Gimp with a Camera channel. And where I used to do the Oldest Town vlogs for a while. But it'll go up over there. as I've discovered, getting off of the news track on this channel has created some problems in viewership, I think. And so we're going to focus on keeping the news here. We're going to do the fun stuff over there and see what happens. Even though I only have like 20 subscribers over there. Maybe we can do something to get that channel going. Anyhow, y'all have a good day. I'll see you down there.